Yes, that's right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Andrew Guy for Andrew Guy Speaks and Come, empowering you to create your greatest impact in the four areas of your life. Listen, today we're talking to people who are trying to make their life the best experience that they've ever had. And many are struggling. Many are struggling. And my goal in life is really to help you to discover that this is the Andrew Guy Show. This is the Andrew Guy Show. We'll be coming live every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. So if you're watching right now, this is the Andrew Guy Show, author of The Anatomy of the Kingdom and the Power of Community, author of Work Your Words and Finding Your Pathway to Personal Success. This is the Andrew Guy Show. You listen to Andrew Guy Live. Listen, so I want to talk to my listeners today. Just want to briefly break down a few things. All right. Is how do you stop living for people? How do you stop living for people so you can have more life for yourself? How do you stop living for people so you can have more life for yourself? It's like saying, I want to live now and die later. How do I live now and then die later? Right? So we're going to dig into that today, and I want to help you to discover that, to make sure that counts. John Maxwell wrote a book called he said that the book is called Make Today Count. How do you make today count? This is what we're talking about. When it says to create your greatest impact, it's really talking about how do I make today count? All right. Again, this is your host. This is Andrew Guy. This is the Andrew Guy Show. And today we just want to talk to you and to help empower you to create your greatest impact where you live, work, play, and pray. These are the four most important area of your life. And so I want to touch on that today, and I want to give you some information. Now, in order for us to empower ourselves, in order for us to have our greatest impact in the four most important area of life, there's some things that we need to know. There's some things that we need to know. I want to dig into some of that right now, and I wanted to clarify, give you some foundational things for you to understand. Now, what is impact? What is impact? When you think of impact, what comes to mind? What comes to mind when you think of impact? Impact is the thing that you live for, the thing that you live for that you cannot afford to die without. The thing that you live for that you cannot afford to die without. And I'm going to give you 10 examples and break them down for you. Impact is today's reward. Impact is today's award for tomorrow's reward. Impact is today's award for tomorrow's reward. Impact is today's giving for the future receiving. Impact is today's pregnancy and the birth of a future child, your brainchild. Impact is today's investment and the future dividends. Impact is today's practice for tomorrow's perfection. Impact is today's lending and the future accrued interest. Impact is today's death, tomorrow's burial, and the future resurrection. Impact the future alive. I wanted to make sure I break those down for you because I have those typed out in my computer, but I want to really stop to talk to you about this thing called impact. The reason why I want to talk to you about impact is because most people are living their life for other people. They're living their life for other people and never ever come to the conclusion or how do they live their life for themselves. So my question is, what is it? What are some things that you're doing in your life? What are some experiences that you have in your life that could have gone different if you had actually put you first? Now, when I say put you first, most people say, well, that's selfish. Well, it doesn't mean selfish. When you put you first, that's more so self-care as opposed to selfish. People confuse the difference between selfishness and self-caring. Selfishness is when you look out for your own interests at the demise of other people. That's selfish. Self-care is when you take care of yourself so you can be in position to be a resource for other people. Let me say it again. Selfishness is when you look out for your own best interests at the demise of other people. Self-care is when you take care of yourself, look after yourself so you can be a resource, so you can be in place for other people. So self-care would be an example like taking care of the car so you can use it as a taxi to take your family, or use it as a transportation to take your family to an outing. Self-care will be like a father taking care of himself so he can be in good shape and health and wellness so he can take his little son to the park so he can throw the ball to him. Self-care is like a husband taking care of himself so he can be in place to be a great support to his wife. Self-care is like a manager taking care of the company so that the company can increase in profits so the profits can be of benefits to the employees. Self-care is supervisor going out of his way to make sure that he's studied, he understands the safety precautions and the WSIB implications for his company to make sure that his employees remain safe. That's self-care. So self-care begins, as I said, begins with you. Now, when you take care of yourself, you're now empowered, you're now in position, you're now in a great location or mindset or frame of mind so you can be a resource. The bottom line to creating an impact, your greatest impact in the four areas of your life, is really so you can leave a legacy. That's really what it's about. Now, when we talk about legacy, legacy is not, oh, well, giving someone a car or some hand-me-downs. Legacy is not meaning to leave a bag of money for your sons or for your daughter or for a loved one. Legacy basically is the footprints. Legacy is the footprints that you created that are big enough that will create room for those who come after you to not only follow, but for them to stand in. Let me say it again. Legacy is creating footprints so big that those who come after you will not be swallowed up, but they will still have a room for them to be themselves and build on what you've created. That's legacy. Now, you heard the term. It says, okay, fine, we stand on the shoulders of great men, right? We standing on the shoulders of heroes. We're standing on the shoulders of those who came before us. And rightfully so. That's a legacy. Legacy is basically creating a platform so those who come after you will have a place for them to build. Not only will they be able to build, but they can actually expand upon what you started. The absence of legacy is when the future cannot see itself as or identify itself in your shoe. The lack of legacy is when the follower is lost and experience identity crisis when they cannot see themselves because of the leader. Lack of legacy is when you cannot see yourself because the mirror take up the whole space. Legacy, in other words, is a mirror. It's big enough, it's clear enough, and it's positioned well enough so that you can see yourself. That's legacy. Now, how do you create a legacy? The first step to creating a legacy is for you to understand who you are. You have to have an understanding of who you are. Understand your gifts. Now, I've talked about that in my Power Lab. This is the Andrew Guy Show, and I want to talk to you briefly about how do you understand your gifts, your talent, and your skill set. Understanding these particular things will help you determine your purpose. Understanding these particular things will help you determine your purpose. You see, I'm drinking out of my Steel City cup. They invited me to come there and do a talk, and it was great. And they gave me a cup. They give this is not a cup, this is a mug. Okay, so I'm drinking out of my Steel City mug. Legacy is important. Legacy is important. So let's talk about the 3 areas that we need to focus on if we're going to create our greatest impact in the 4 areas of our life. Yes, we want to leave a legacy, but we need to understand these concepts. First one, life. What is life? Life is a gift. It's like, for example, I have a package, right? It's, for example, as if I have a cup. It's covered. It has a lid on it, and no one knows what's in it, but it's covered. So the only way you can know what's in it, or if it was a present, is if you can open it. Life is a gift. You were given a gift by your creator. Okay? You were given this gift. Not only were you given a gift, right? You were given other specialities. You were given some skills and you develop some talent. You're given a gift and you have a talent and you turn it into a skill. I'm going to get into that later on. But when you have this actual gift, you have to open it. I always tell people that you can have Christmas anytime. You literally can have Christmas anytime, every day, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. Why? Your gift is you. You are a gift to the world. You are a gift to mankind. You are a gift to your area of speciality. If you are a doctor, you're a gift to those patients. If you are a leader, you're a gift to those who follow you. If you are a producer, you are a gift to those who consume what you produce. If you are a gift to anyone or any entity or any area of speciality that consume what you produce. You are a gift to the world. Now, it's important that you understand that the world is not the same as how people look at it. The world is simply a system. It's a system whereby we have consumers and producers, right? People who produce things, creating some information to help you to develop your personal identity, not only for you to develop your personal identity, but to understand your purpose in life. Not only for you to understand your personal, your purpose in life, but for you to take it a step higher, and not only just take it a step higher, but to function. The purpose in all of this is for you to understand your function. Now, what is function? Function is what's in the mind of the creator. I've said it before. I said no one knows what the Model 4 T car looks like unless Henry Ford designed and made it, right? No one knows what the iPhone is or what it looks like until Steve, who had many jobs, well, he's not working anymore, made it. No one knows what Microsoft looked like through a window unless it was created by Bill Gates. So you get my drift, right? What we're saying is the product or purpose is inside the mind of the creator, but it will is left trapped in there until it has been produced or until it is made. So this is what I want to get you to understand. Your purpose in life is to produce, is to take what's inside your mind, what's inside you, your gift, and produce something. When you produce something, this is your purpose, or what's called your life assignment. Your life assignment is something that keeps you alive. And not only will it keep you alive, it prevents you from dying. That's your life assignment. That's your purpose. This is your function. This is your function in life. When you get busy doing it, you become energetic. You have more life to give. You become a resource for other people. When you can do that now, what you're actually doing is creating your impact. Remember, we said impact is creating that footprint that is so big that people don't get drowned out by it, but they also can identify themselves in you. You are becoming that shoulder that they can stand on. You are becoming that giant that they can stand on. You are becoming that leader that they can follow. You are becoming that that inspiration that builds them. You are becoming that motivation that gives them the fuel to continue when the chips are down and lights are off. You are becoming a beacon. You are becoming that lighthouse, just like the ships who and the boats or the seagoing vessels that are out there on the ocean who don't know where to go. You are their lighthouse. You are the compass that let people know, turn here, turn left, go right or go straight. You are their GPS. That's what you're doing. This is why it's important that you create your greatest impact. This is why you have to create your greatest impact. You have to create this impact, but the only way you can do this is if you know who you are. Now, that brings me to the next topic. Most people don't know who they are because they're suffering from what's called identity crisis. They're suffering from identity crisis because they have, let's say, for example, here's a perfect example. Let's say, for example, you were here, right? You're at station A. And so you were born at station A. You were supposed to stay at station A and fully develop yourself. Most people don't remain at station A. What they have done, I'm going to give you an example from the movie The Lion King with Simba, right? Simba was in the Pride Land, right? He was born here. But Simba forgot who he was and left the Pride Land and went into the jungle. And when he went into the jungle, he started talking about Hakuna Matata, somebody's mama. I don't know what he was talking about, but it didn't make sense. What we have discovered is that when you leave where you're supposed to grow and develop, you have taken a journey. Sometimes it will take you 10, 20, 15, 20 years to get to another location. That other location is outside of yourself. That other location is outside of your support. That other location is outside of your development. Okay, so you would have taken 20 years to reach over here. Now you've spent another 20 years over here trying to find out who you really are. This is where we have problems. This is where we run into difficulty. This is where we run into setback. This is where we run into disappointment. This is where most, if not 90%, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that 90% of where identity crisis happen, when you have left who you are and take 20 years, wasted 20 years to become someone else. The strange thing is that you spend 20 years over here. That's 20 plus 20. That's 40 years. You're now an old person. A midlife crisis takes over and you don't know who you are. Just like Simba. Simba went into a midlife crisis. He needed help from what a baboon called Rafiki. Rafiki had to come and save him. Why? Because Rafiki knew that Simba had a purpose. Here's a good thing about the Rafikis in your life. They are helpful if they know that you have a purpose, and then they have discovered your purpose, and they know what role you're supposed to play in your pride land or your function in life, and they will not rest until they come back and drag you by the ears and say, listen, you are supposed to be a king. You are a king. What are you doing out here in the jungle eating bugs when you should be eating lamb chops? By the way, I wrote a funny story about this in my book. Work Your Words and Finding Your Pathway to Personal Success. Very, very powerful book. You better go check it out. It's on Amazon.com. And you can also get it on my website at andrewguyspeaks.com. All right. You're going to love it. But most people, one of the reasons why we find out that they have identity crisis is because they're working the wrong words. They're saying the wrong things to themselves. They listen to the wrong people. And whoever you give your ears to, they control you. They control your emotion. They control even your destiny. Okay. So you want to make sure that you don't listen to the wrong people. Simba started listening to Pumbaa and all these little creatures out there in the woods talking about Hakuna Matata, let's eat bugs. For them, that is their gourmet. Simba is a king. Simba is used to eating lamb chops, zebras, all those wonderful, lush, fresh cut meat. You are the Simba. You're supposed to be eating these great things. You're supposed to be having the finest things in life. You're supposed to be living a life of abundance. You're supposed to be living a life that is exemplary. You're supposed to be living a life that makes people say, wow, how did you do that? That's the life you were created to make. Obviously by the Creator, because He created everything. Not going to preach to you, because this show is not about preaching to you. This show is about giving you life skills so you can take them and create the resources that you need, and so you can be a resource for other people. This is what this show is about. This is what the show is about. This show is about helping you to create your greatest impact in the 4 areas of your life. What are the 4 areas? The 4 areas are where you live, where you work, where you play, and where you pray. That's it. Everything else is a time waster. Those are the 4 most important areas of anyone's life. And if you learn to create an impact in those 4 areas, you are automatically successful. You are automatically creating the impact. You are automatically creating the legacy that will matter, but still recognizing who they are and still retaining their identity. Those are the 4 main areas. Now, let me go back. So what I was discussing, I was saying Simba left. You could be that Simba. When you leave where you're supposed to stay and develop and become a full you before leaving and going to the wilderness or going into the jungle so you can find out and explore and find yourself. Most people leave home. Most people leave their base so they can find out who they are. When they leave where they're supposed to be, they're taking that 20 years, as I said before, and spend another 20 years trying to adapt to becoming somebody else, right? Or whatever somebody else tell them they should be, and they lose out. They lose out 20 or 40 or sometimes 60 years, sometimes a lifetime of who they're supposed to be. And now they decided in their 50s, wow, I'm having a midlife crisis and I need to get back to being who I'm supposed to be. I don't know who I'm supposed to be. And then you log on and then you discover a guy like me that's telling you, listen, this is not you. You're not supposed to be eating bugs. You're not supposed to be living below or living beneath your privilege. You're not supposed to be living less than you're supposed to be. You are great. You are amazing. You are created to do amazing things. But instead, you settle. You are supposed to be creating an impact in those 4 areas of your life so you can be the giant and the shoulders that other people stand on. That's what you're supposed to do. But here's what happened. You took that 20 years to come over here to learn something for 20 years that you're not. And then you have to come down. You have to stop doing that and then take another 20 or 10 or however long it takes you to get back to where you're supposed to be. So let's add it up. 20 years to leave my post, 20 years to learn about something that I'm not supposed to be, and another 10 or 20 years to get back to who I'm supposed to be. Now I'm 60 years old. You're 60 years old and you're starting over again. You are now a baby. You're now a baby again because you're learning what you should have learned before to help empower you. When you should be teaching, you're back in school. I'm talking about school. When I'm talking school, I'm talking about school of life. When you should be the mentors to the young ones that are coming up or to the next generation, instead of doing that, you're competing with them for a place in the line. You're competing with them for a place in the job site. You shouldn't be doing that. At this particular time, you should be training them. You should be leading them. You should be their example. But you've lost 20 years because you left where you're supposed to be. You went to the wilderness to eat bugs or to become what you weren't supposed to be. And then you take another 20 years to come back to your post, to realizing, oh, there's an awakening. I am actually a different person. And so you lost 60 years. And now you're in catch-up mode. Everything is a rush. And you know what's strange about the rush? Nothing have any meaning to you. That's why most people are living life without meaning. Why? Because they're trying to catch up. They're trying to, and then they spend the rest of their life doing this. Oh, I remember the good old days. There's no such thing as the good old days. Those good old days are wasted. You will never get them anymore. So what I'm trying to get you to do is to make sure you stay planted, be anchored in where you are, understand who you are, develop your skills, and use them to empower other people so you can become a resource. All right. So now, let me give you some tips. Let me give you some fundamental examples and principles that you can use. Now, for example, understand that life is a gift. You can open your gift any day. You open your gift when you begin to live. Okay? Life is a gift. God gave you that gift. You can't do anything about your mama or your daddy. You can't determine who you came from. That's given. That's a gift. That's what a gift is, when you can't determine or do anything about it. That's a gift. Okay? So we established that. Number 2, you have what's called a talent. A talent is what you're known for. Let's say, for example, Michael Jordan was great at basketball. He's known for that. Tiger Woods, known for golf. Babe Ruth, known for baseball. Those are what I'm talking about. That's a talent. Now, how well you use your talent is called a skill. So you are the gift to the world. You have a talent that you're known for, and your skill is what separates you from other people. It's your skill. It's like your hands, it's like your fingers. Okay. This is the hand is the gift, right? The talent is its ability to do something. How well it does something separates the right hand from the left hand. We call that dominance. So when you're good at something, it makes you a dominant force to reckon with. That's where we get the notion of dominant versus non-dominant. Dominant simply means that you have honed your skill. You've worked on it so well that you're now separated from everyone else, and they cannot compare you with anyone else because you're completely different. You're completely different. What you do stand out. You're separated from the crowd because you are what's now called unique. All right. So that's one. So we say life is your gift, right? You have talent, but you have to develop these talents and turn them into skills. The skills is how well you use them. Okay. Now I want to break down 3 more points. The 3 points that I want to break down is life, alive, and living. I talk about these a lot because most people get trapped between being alive, or they don't know the difference between being alive and living and life itself. Life, we already established that's a gift, right? Life is the gift. Alive is basically like the ambulance that shows up at a scene or accident scene. The ambulance basically come, and the ER people, the ambulance attendant, what they do, the paramedics, they check for what's called vital signs. Vital signs is, can you hear, can you see, can you respond to your environment, or can you feel? Can you, are your senses working? Do you have the right body temperature? Is it at a 98.6, whatever? Can you respond to your environment? That's being alive. You have what's known as vital signs. That's what it is. Those are called vital signs. Now, living is completely different, right? Because you can be alive and not living. Let's establish that. You can be alive, you can be on what's called, and you can be in the ICU on life support, but you're not living. You can be alive but not living. What does that mean? Living is a function. Living is practical. Living is when you open up the gift, open up your life, right? And live it and make it practical while you are alive. Let me break that down. Life is the gift. Living is the practical application of your skill set while you are alive. So living encompasses your life, alive, and a function called living. Does that make sense? So that's what I want you to get. Once you get these concepts down, you're now able to create your greatest impact. Now, I'm going to talk to you about the 4 areas. The 4 areas, and we're going to wrap up. We got about 2 more minutes. Want to encourage you, go ahead and like my my Facebook, subscribe to me on YouTube. Now, if you're here for the first time, I put out videos every week. I also have a live show on Facebook called My Power Lab, and I also have a live The Andrew Guy Show. You're now listening to The Andrew Guy Show, and I am the host. I am the guy, Andrew E. Guy. All right, so if you're joining me for the first time, go ahead and plug in your information, subscribe to me so you can get these updates. Follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, subscribe. Just get involved. Let's create that community so I can share with you and help empower you to create your greatest impact in the 4 areas of your life. All right. I'm also the author of Work Your Words, Finding Your Pathway to Personal Success. I am also the author of The Anatomy of the Kingdom and the Power of Community, a very powerful book. If you haven't read them, go to my website, andrewguyspeaks.com, click on there, and that will take you to the shopping cart where you can purchase these books. These are great resources for you. I always believe that in order for you to create your greatest impact, you got to have some resources, because we don't know everything. Like I said, you're a package, you're in a package, but part of your package, a part of your living requires you to open the package. When you open the package, it is your way of saying, I am going to educate myself. I'm going to improve myself. I'm going to develop myself into the best me that I can ever become. Because if I am the best me that I can ever be, I can never compete with anyone else. And then when I'm the best me that I can be, guess what's going to happen? you will be a resource. All right. And before I move forward, let me break down what resource is. So power is everything that you've given. That's a gift, right? You have it. We are all powerful, right? Now, power means source. Source is an indwelling of capacity. Source is an indwelling of capacity, right? Or energy. Some people call it energy. And energy is the ability to do work, right? Now, when you use your gifts and your skills and your talents to empower people or to transform people's life, you become what's called a resource. A in front of a word means to redo, to renew, to repeat, resource. So you are now a tap into or a medium or a conduit whereby people are empowered. You get it? So power create the source is the source, and a resource is the utilization of the power or the source that's available. I know that's deep. I know that's a little it could be over some of you guys' head, but I want to make sure I break it down as much as I can. So listen, you have a power. When you utilize your power, then you become a resource. When you become a resource, you become a person of you separate yourself from other people. When you separate yourself from other people, then you become the go-to individual for whomever needs help, for whomever needs a shoulder. You become the giant for those people who are not giant, who want to stand on your shoulder so they can see where they have to go. Does that make sense? All right. So remember, subscribe to my channel. My channel is Andrew Guy Speaks on YouTube here. Follow me on Twitter. That is Andrew Guy Speaks. The only different thing is with my Facebook is Andrew E. Guy Speaks. So like my Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time, as I'm saying, listen, I'm glad you're here. You're in the right place. You didn't just end up here accidentally. You're in the right place. I want to help you grow, and I want to help you to create your greatest impact in the 4 most important areas of your life. Andrew E. Guy, I am empower you to live your life instead of living your life for people and die early. I want you to live your best life now. Does that make sense? All right. So I want you to come in and I want you to subscribe with me. Listen, I'm not even going to pretend like I don't need you. I need you. I need more of you. I need to be connected with you so I can help you. The reason why you're watching right now is because guess what? You need help. You're searching for something and you just happen to land on me. All right. So I'm glad that you tuned in today. Okay. Now, one of the things that I'm actually doing, I'm actually starting a new course. The new online course is called Create Your Greatest Impact. Yeah, how did you guess? Create Your Greatest Impact, right? Because I'm working with business people, I'm working with corporate leaders, I'm working with education district. I'm also a student success coach and partner with many other school districts. I am also working with the school district in terms of providing PD education for teachers, so professional development for teachers, because I want to help them create their greatest impact in the learning environment to help empower students. So students can actually know that, listen, you don't just go out and take any major or just go to school just for the sake of going to school or become a professional student. You can help to direct the students into where they're supposed to be, help them to direct and to develop and to understand what they need to be doing so they can become the future of tomorrow. All right. I also help to empower leaders. One of the concepts that I share from this book here, from the Anatomy of the Kingdom, is that I get a chance to go and speak to the faith-based community. So I go into churches and I speak to them about what it means to live practically, to develop a relationship with the people, with their community. Instead of focusing on religion, you need to focus on relationships, on building people. And so that's one of the things that I talk to them about. So there's quite a bit of things that I do, but many people say, oh, you're doing so many things. But no, it's not so many things. It's the same function. It's helping people, empowering people to create the greatest impact where you live, work, play, and pray. That's my purpose. That's it. Whether I'm speaking to a business group, whether I'm speaking to a sales group, whether I'm speaking to teachers, whether I'm speaking to students, it doesn't matter who I'm speaking to. a public servant or a civilian, doesn't matter. I am helping that person, group, entity, organization, or community to create their greatest impact, right, in the 4 areas of their life. Now, before we leave, we're going to wrap up in the next 5 minutes. Then the 4 areas, the 4 main areas in your life are where you live, where you work, where you play, and where you pray. Those are the 4 most important areas in anyone's life. Now, next time, I'm going to break that down and explain the difference between those 4 concepts. So I want you to join me next time on the Andrew Guy Show for a next episode of creating your greatest impact in the 4 most important areas of your life. It's been a slice. It's been a pizza slice. My favorite pizza, by the way, is pineapple and pepperoni. I thought you should know that, man, because that does it for me. All right. So it's been a slice. YouTube, take care of yourself. This is Andrew Guy for AndrewGuySpeaks.com, reminding you that I'm empowering you to create your greatest impact in the 4 most important areas of your life. Take care. Subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Twitter. Like me on Facebook. And I'm looking forward to see you next week about the same time. Take care. Peace.